Good evening, friends. Today I'll be talking about strength abilities in the biomechanics. It is also very essential motor ability to increase your performance in the sports. So first one was speed ability, which we have already covered, and second important aspect is strength. So depending upon the sports, we can vary these kind of abilities accordingly. Some games require more of strength, less of speed. Some game requires more of speed, less of strength. So depending upon the game, we vary the protocols, training protocols, and we get the results. So these are the learning outcomes out of this lecture, that you will able to know what is strength ability and its importance in sports, how you are going to develop that during training in an athlete, how it is related to rate of force development RFD, and what is force velocity curve and its importance in training, of course in relation to the strength development. So a brief introduction. Motor abilities means that you are able to perform some action. You need some ability. These are your qualities or abilities in you, so that you can do the things in a with great performance. And two key abilities to enhance your performance are strength and the speed, and both of these we get after training. Speed, of course, has to some extent you need your genetic factors that I already told you, that 70 to 80% of these are genetic, 20% we can train. But on the other hand, strength we can there are some genetic factors, but not to that extent like speed. So it is quite easier to develop strength as compared to speed, because it is while training, because it is more of training part and less of genetic factors in strength development. Okay, so we'll now focus on these details, how we develop strength, and I will focus on the strength in this lecture only. So first of all, maximum strength. What is maximal strength? So it is ability to generate maximum force to overcome inertia. Inertia is to remain in one resistance to remain in one state. If you are sitting, that means you are in resting in inertia, and we need some force to break your inertia so that you can move. So what amount of force? It depends upon your load, how heavy you are, because inertia is dependent on the mass. If you are 80 kg person, I need more force than to move a 60 kg person. So to generate maximum force to overcome inertia, this is your strength. So that is my strength ability. If I am able to move 100 kg man who is in the sitting position, that means I have good strength. So in humans, this force against load is generated by muscles. So what is the source? Muscles produces force from inside our body, so that we can generate that and we can overcome the inertia. Or in simple words, if we want to lift any weight, we need strength. Higher the strength we have, higher the weight we can lift successfully. So maximum strength is the ability of an athlete to generate maximum force against a given load. And common lifts are, which we have these kind of abilities like deadlift, bench press, squat, all our weight trainings, so that we can develop strength. Okay, there are some terms related to this in the biomechanics. These are your maximal muscular performance, Pmax, Fmax and Vmax. So I discuss all of them one by one. So what is maximal muscular performance or Pmax? It is your basically peak performance. Take example of jump. You are taking a vertical jump and you are reaching 33 inches height. So this is your performance in inches. So maximum performance. So we call it Pmax is your 33 inches. On the other hand, if you are if some other athlete can go up to 43 inches, we will say that his Pmax is 43 inches. So it is basically your maximum sport performance. So maximum muscular performance, Pmax is your max sport performance. It depends on the sport. Okay. And what are Fmax and Vmax? So again, we are taking that example. If your Pmax is 33 inches when you are doing a vertical jump, and in that case, if I am measuring your force during whole activity by force platform or some other instrument, and the point where I get maximum force, the peak of your force. So that peak point of force is your F max. Okay, and in the same case, if I am also measuring velocities of your joints, so the fastened joint during that movement of your jump is your V max, and it is in the unit of degree per second. And if we are taking in account center of mass for measuring your velocity, we are focusing on the center of mass, then V max will be meter per second. So it depends on the situation to situation. So this is basically velocity, and this is your maximum force peak, velocity peak. Now what are the relationship between these? These are inversely related. Means if F max increases, V max will go down, and when V max increases, F max will go down. I have discussed this in the speedability also. I am again repeating here because this curve is utilized in both the cases. Okay, so it is in the form of curve. I'll discuss later on, and it also depends on the parameter. It also have parametric relationship. Now if we are for instance, if motor dash is to throw a ball, then weight of the ball is the parameter on which these two will depend. Like if we throw a ball which is lighter ball means it is not so heavy, so force required will be less to hold that ball. And when you are throwing the same ball, lighter ball, because your force required is less, your V max will be higher. On the other hand, if you are having a heavier ball, so that will require more force. When you are applying more force, V max will be less. So this is just a demonstration of this inverse relationship. So this is the curve, you are already familiar with it, bell shaped curve. Here we have forces, and here we have velocities. So you can see that here is the minimum velocity, the force is maximum. Similarly, here we have the max velocity, and your force is less. So this is an inverse relationship between two that you already know. Just I have given the repetition. Now it is in the strength context. So what is the significance? So here I have given you two workouts, example of two workouts to again explain this thing. One workout is your very strength, where you use a lot of strength, that is your back squat, and you are having some weights which are equivalent to your 1 RM. 1 RM is 1 repetition maximum. The 1 repetition maximum is what? The maximum load which you can lift, and it is your max ability. After that you cannot do another repetition with the same weight, but you have to be successful in that. It's not like that you are doing halfway. You are doing bicep curl, you have to do complete curl with the maximum weight which you can lift to do one repetition only. After that you are fully exhausted. So that is that amount of weight is 1 repetition maximum, the weight with which you can do only one repetition successfully. After that you are gone, you are totally exhausted. So when you are doing such a intense workout, back squat with 1 RM capacity, so that will produce a lot of force, and again you will do it in a very slow way because max force means less of velocity. Similarly, if you are doing counter movement jump, it is on the lighter side, where force requirement is not so that much, so it will produce less of force, more of velocity. So these are the just to demonstrate you this FV curve. Now the main what is happening at the ground level, slower velocity exercises like back squat with 1 RM weight, it will be slower exercise, will allow athlete to form more cross bridges in the muscles and develop more force. This is the main physiological reason behind that. And if you often do these kind of trainings, so your brain will be programmed, your muscles will be programmed, you will have more cross bridges, greater amount of muscle types of muscle fiber which are required, fast muscle fiber recruitment will be there. So in this way you will develop more strength ability when you are doing these kind of workouts which involves a lot of force. On the other hand, if you are doing workouts which involve a lot of high velocity, so that will have less time to form cross bridges and again less force production. So this is the ground level reality which is happening, which is the reason behind developing of your strength in your body, and whole role is played by this FV curve, and training protocols are also based on these FV curves. Now this table is just to relate your maximum force workouts, heavier workouts with RFD. One point I want to make it here is the only message in this slide is RFD, rate of force development. So what is that? It is the ability to develop force in minimum amount of time. how fast you produce your force, how fast is your rate of force development in your body. If you have and if you have high RFD, that means you are more explosive. This is the technical term which we use, explosive strength. So if you have high explosive strength, that means you are producing a lot of force in a very less time, and athletes who achieve this have a very good strength abilities. You can see that workouts where peak forces are like this is 3177. I think this is the highest one where the peak force is highest, and similarly you can see that rate of force development is also here. So that means if you develop strength abilities, so RFD is the factor which is responsible for that. Your rate of force development also develops. So what is happening in the ground level? You are able to do that stretching more effectively who has more RFD, and the athlete who has more RFD as compared to other one who is not so trained in the strength training will have less RFD, but the one who has more RFD is more explosive because the way he is stretching, the way he is using stretch shortening cycle, is more biomechanically advantage, more biomechanically efficient athlete, and he can produce more amount of force in lesser time. So strength ability is related to RFD, and RFD is developed by your weight trainings, resistance training and the ballistic trainings. These two workouts will help you to achieve this rate of high RFD, and once you have this high RFD, then you have good explosive strength. So I'll come to this in the later slide. Before that, I'll explain practical applications of this force velocity curve. Now what is power? Power is, you already know, force into velocity, right? Now if you, this is your curve, the dashed one is the athlete which is training, and the before, and the continuous one, this one, first one is before training and this one is after training. So if you want to achieve good RFD in an athlete, then your main aim is to shift this curve towards right hand side like this, because when you shift this curve towards right hand side, then you are able to produce more force in lesser time. Just take the example. Suppose this is the point we are talking about. Now at this velocity, you can see that the person who is untrained and the one who is trained producing more force. Speed same, but the force produced in the dashed one is more because he has got his curve shifted. Or we can say that same athlete is producing more force after training at same point. So that is the main advantage of force velocity curve. Whenever you want to achieve high RFD so that you can become more, you can develop more strength in you, your main aim of your training is to move your this curve towards right hand side, because you are able to produce more power, and that means more explosiveness in athlete. In most circumstances, the primary objective of the strength and power training is to shift the force velocity curve to the right. So this is the practical aspect of this force velocity curve. So whenever you want strength training, you want more RFD in your athletes, all the workouts will be focusing to achieve your shifting of this curve towards right hand side. Now again, explosive strength. Shifting of force velocity curve to the right represent an improved rate of force development. Once you have got this, that means you have programmed your muscles, you have programmed your brain, you have programmed your body to produce more force in lesser time. The RFD simply reflects how fast an athlete can develop force, how fast your muscle contract, right? An athlete with greater RFD capability will be more explosive as they can develop larger force in a shorter period of time. In other words, they have more explosive strength. Explosive strength is generating maximum force in minimal time. So it is very important in games. Practical explanation. some one of the example. Suppose now you will see how it affects your game. Suppose there are two competitors, weightlifters, and they have to lift the weight of 200 kgs in a competition. Now 200 weights will, how much force will be required? This is the amount 1962, and they have to lift that weight up to 1 meter. And let's imagine they are exactly of the same height and same using same technique. They are not almost they are looking similar in physique. Weight is also same. Now one athlete has more RFD, and due to that the lifter one can achieve, first lifter takes 1 second to complete the lift and the other one takes twice. So the lifter one is taking, so acceleration of the first lifter is just 1 meter because it is taking 1 second, and other one is taking twice that, so lifter 2 has 0.5 acceleration. So acceleration is more in the lifter 1, so that means he is more fast, and in real terms he has more RFD. So the force produced during the lift is actually twice in lifter 1 as compared to the lifter 2, but the result is same result is you have to carry the 200 kg, both are carrying the weight, but the one who has more RFD can get that done in lesser time. So lifter 1 produces a force of 1962, whilst our second lifter produces a force of 981. So this is the calculation they have done, but with the same total weight lifted. So you can see clearly, if you have more RFD in you, you can produce more amount of force in lesser time, and that is advantageous to you. Now there is another term which is known as index of explosive strength. So this is basically another term of RFD. It is a measure of your rate of force development, and how we measure that. So this is your force time curve, this is the time and force. Now here we have the peak, so that is your F max. So I have told you what is RFD is rate of force development, that is maximum force in the max force developed in the minimum time. So the max force here is this one, so we'll see the time here and we divide it and we'll get your index of explosive strength, and it is a measure of your RFD. Okay, and now coming to training part. Athletes can train at both the sections, that I have told you in the first slide, that according to the game you have to decide what you have to do. If you require more of strength or you require more of speed, accordingly the workouts are planned according to FV curve. Now I'll discuss that also, and this is the example. You can see that the red one is speed trained. So when you have to train yourself for the speed abilities, then you shift the curve to this side, and when you want to have strength abilities in you, more of strength abilities, then you have to shift the curve to the right side. So the green one is strength trained, red one is your speed trained, and the blue one is the normal one. So accordingly you can plan. This is the way they plan biomechanically. Okay, now I'll discuss some workout zones, different workouts which produce different results at in that curve. Now we have divided this curve into few zones. The first zone, I just draw the curve here and it is like that, right? This is your force and this is your velocity. Now the first area is this one. Here you will produce maximum force, so we called this zone as maximum strength zone. Simply the maximum amount of force someone is able to produce, and here the workouts are close to your 1 RM, like back squat, and the weight is almost 1 RM weight you will be lifting, and the maximum amount of force an athlete can produce during the particular exercise. So this workout will be more focused towards strength training, and this will appear over here. This is your workout zone at this point. Then strength speed. This is a classification of exercise that are not deemed to deliver a peak power output nor peak force, so it is sits in the so called middle ground between the maximum strength यहाँ पर है आपका, this one is the maximum strength. So I'm talking about this zone. The strength speed, We call it as strength speed. This was your maximum strength, this is your strength speed. Now here 70%, almost 70% of your RM, the weights which we take, and it is optimal force in a short duration of time. And these are the workouts: snatch press, clean and jerk, snatch, which are done in this way, in this zone. That one is complete strength zone, this one little bit lower than high strength workouts, and we call it as strength speed. So working out in this zone will develop strength also, but and as well as speed also. However, in this zone, if you do these kind of workouts, only strength will be developed. So these are different zones where you plan your training so that you can do according to the game which you want. Okay, now coming to the third one, peak power. This comes at the third point, and this is a zone which deliver peak power output. These excessively produce greatest amount of force in the least time, like jump, squats, bench press, throw. Now you can see that peak power. Here we are focusing more on power so that we can have some velocity also. So again, here the weights will again go down. Now here will be in the range of 40 to 50% of your RM, so that you can have some velocity also. And these are the workouts which you do, and they will create peak power in yours. Then coming to the speed strength, this zone does not deliver peak power. Now we are not we are now coming more down towards your velocity development, speed development, and here the workouts will be more focused towards the velocities, like slow stretch tightening, plyometric tricks like counter movement jumps come over here. And the last one is your maximum velocity. Here even you don't take any resistance, you just want to develop your speed, and we do the workouts like fast stretch shortening cycles here, so that there is no strength required here. You more focus on the speed development. So these are the 5 zones in that curve, and accordingly we plan different workouts so that we can train our athletes according to our game. Okay, so the different training zones are merely guidelines. So these are basically a guidelines. It is not a strict rule that you have to follow these. Coaches are the main guides who, depending upon the game, can modify these things and do the protocols accordingly, so that you can develop good mixture of both the things if you want both, depending on the game. So it all depends on the game, which game you are playing, what kind of abilities you require more. Accordingly you can modulate these zones. So this was just an example how we plan accordingly. Okay, thank you very much.